Check out theScore eSports for all of your Dota scores, stats, and news. Get the iOS app from the iOS App Store or Google Play. All right, so looking forward to game number 3 here, boys. It has been an intense series so far, very back and forth. What are we thinking coming into game 3? Who's looked stronger across these 2 games?
Definitely Secret, just because they had the early game 1, and then in game 2, there was no doubt about who the winning team was. I think they should just stick to their guns and go for the unexpected. I mean, sort of expected Meepo pick, but I don't think anyone saw the Necrophos Whistling. And I think Poppy has a lot of success when he just goes for these goofball picks rather than sticking to the meta.
Do they really have that many more up their sleeve, though? That's the question. Because is we really known for anything else that's super off the table?
I mean, he can go Meepo again, right? And then they could just pick something else for Envy.
I mean, they could second phase ban it. I don't know. It might change a little bit from the Naga and the Dazzle.
Okay, it seemed like that game was also just particularly good for Meepo. He's quite good against Darkseer, pretty good against the Spirit Breaker in a lot of scenarios. Do you think that was part of the reason why the Meepo was picked there, or is it just a pocket strat they're comfortable with in most scenarios?
I mean, I think when you have a player that's that confident on a hero and can snowball that hard, you got to go with it. I think they could do it again. I want to know from you guys, is OD viable?
I don't think so.
I think OD was a weird pickup. Necrophos, Nyx Assassin, Meepo, it didn't seem as if it fit in at all.
Yeah, in the lane, I mean, OD had an okay start before all the other Meepos come out, but there's just no way for him to come in and conquer that lane. OD's power is stealing the int from, those classic int heroes like a Queen of Pain or a Lina or something like that, especially picking it into the Nyx Assassin. He's probably the #1 counter when you see an OD picked up, go for the Nyx. It was maybe too confident to pick him into that.
A little bit.
Yeah, I agree.
But outside of that particular draft, do you think OD is viable? If they had the final pick in that scenario and there wasn't a Nyx or something like that? I guess more to the core of Nahaz's question.
I don't think he scales quickly enough, nor does he farm fast enough. Like, he's one of those weird heroes that needs a BKB and is terrible against the BKB. So if you trade Farm Wars and everyone gets BKB, he's just terrible. And he can't farm that quickly because he has no AoE abilities. So I don't know. I don't really like him that much. And especially if teams are flexible in their lane rotations, you'll see some teams, they always have the same player mid on the same hero. And it's very obvious when they're going to do that. But for a team like Secret Wars, they can just pick stuff like Meepo that does perfectly okay, I think, versus OD, then it's not really a good option.
Yeah, that was, to me, the big problem with it is that a big part of the value of OD is that laning matchup, and you can't, in that drafting situation, be assured of getting OD against a Necrophos. I mean, if you know the Necrophos is going to be mid, and you get OD versus Necro, you're really happy about it. But as a lane dominator here, I feel like you're right. I feel like you give me a Razor or a Viper.
Yeah, Viper, I think, is much better in most situations.
Yeah. So one of the other big changes we saw across Game 1 and 2 was the Tusk ban. Game 1, it was a really important heal for Fnatic. Chrissy had a really good performance. Game 2, it was first banned by Secret. Do you think that was a big driving force? I reckon Secret will probably likely to ban the Tusk again.
Yeah, I think it was pretty important. It also tossed up the draft a bit, and Fnatic, I still don't get why the Darkseer into Spirit Break. I don't think that's necessarily a very potent combo.
Other teams have used it before. It's been pretty good, but it was more...
But you commit your first 2 picks for it, though.
I think there's some anti-synergy in the first 2 picks because it takes away... I think a lot of the value of the Spirit Breaker is not knowing whether he's going to be 3 or 4. And picking those 2 in the first phase almost ensures the Spirit Breaker is going to be a 4.
Well, it's really good if you have good lanes in your other matchups, because then you can get a lot of kills, and then you just you Ion Shell the Spirit Breaker, and he just does a lot of damage, even if he dies.
But they didn't have very good lanes.
Yeah, they didn't have very good lanes, which wasn't the fault of the first 2 picks, I feel like. But yeah, it was a little weak opener, I would say, especially for the 6.85.
I think if they'd gone for anything but the Spirit Breaker, it would have been a lot better, just because they could have still committed to the Disruptor pick. Darkseer Disruptor had a great synergy, of course, and they I was surprised to see that they didn't pick up either Shadow Fiend or Queen of Pain in the first phase.
Yeah, I was really surprised Queen got through, period, for both teams.
Yeah, completely ignored. And the Visage as well, on the point that Malk was making earlier. It wasn't the hot pick that Secret was hoping for. I want to see it, though. I'm really curious.
I'm not sure that it's Weeha. I've just heard rumors that there's certain teams practicing it.
Bambo likes it a lot.
Bambo likes a lot of interesting things.
Fear was a heck of a Visage player back in the day as well.
That was before the bird change.
Ah, true.
So now Fear just won't touch the hero. The change was too much. Is that the implication?
No, I think he can play anything he sets his mind to.
Okay.
He needs a very little practice to actually master heroes.
Okay, fair enough. Well, here we go, coming into game 3. First ban Wisp from Fnatic. Oh my.
Yeah.
Well, luckily they have first pick this time, so they could take the Dazzle even if they ban the Naga second phase. Or, sorry, second ban.
Second ban.
But will they ban it? I feel like they should have banned it first.
Ban the Naga first?
Yeah, that's what they usually do.
I don't think the order of the first 2 bans matters that much.
Tusk ban, no surprise. Definitely if you're secret, that's what you're going for. And you knew you were gonna ban out the Tusk, so there's no reason to like start banning out Naga or
you first pick Clock here as Fnatic. I think you want Chrissy on those 1v1 playmaking guys.
Dazzle, right?
I don't know.
Dazzle is, I think, one of the biggest overlaps in between the 2 lineups, and they don't have that much overlap in hero pool.
You value Dazzle that high on Radiant?
If you have Shadow
Okay,
Fiend.
there it is.
They do not have Shadow Fiend this time around. I think this is a great read from Poppy in the drafting phase, banning out the Shadow Fiend instead, knowing obviously that there's Radiant side for Fnatic, but also that Shadow Priest. Like he could have gone for the Shadow Priest ban, but it's much easier to just commit for the Shadow Fiend ban, and you know Dazzle's not going to run around and stack camps as much.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of options here for Team Secret. Do they go for the Bane? That was their first pick in games 1 and 2. Is it time to switch it up?
There's a Venomancer.
Okay, Venomancer first pick.
Hello, Ben.
Good hero.
You can hate on me too. I don't know. You sold on Venomancer.
Yeah, he's good.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah. Okay. With this duo, I actually really like it.
This is definitely one of the most potent carry heroes right now in the new version, especially with the buff to the bounty rune as well. He can have some immense farm very early on, like 3 minutes in power treads, or even a Hand of Midas if you want to.
And you were talking about teams experimenting. One thing I know some teams are experimenting with is the Aghanims rushing Alchemist, giving Ags to teammates. And boy, that Veno with early Ags that he doesn't necessarily have to spend the money on, it's at least a scary strategic option. I don't know if we'll see it.
Yeah, people tend to get tripped up on how quickly Alchemist could farm a potential Ags for someone else, but I think the real value is closer to the mid game, where it opens up a Veno to go for a Blink Dagger first item, or a Veil of Discord, something to synergize with the Aghanims, and then mid game Alt can open up a lot of options. But here we go, the Undying, who has previously been banned out both games.
This seems to be the hero that Poppy had a lot of respect for in the previous games, banning it out in the first phase.
Well, it's never gone away in SCA, and it really is for Fnatic such a useful hero, because when they've struggled in the past, at least with their previous roster, it's been because their lanes really didn't make sense. And in the last game, that's what you saw, that they just didn't execute well in the laning phase. Undying takes so much of the pressure off your lanes, I feel.
I feel like Fnatic should definitely ban AA in the second phase. We've seen AA Veno, like that combo will just obliterate your team. And on top of that, they already have 2 healing heroes.
Yeah, the problem with the AA Veno duo as a support is you can lack control, but if it's a core Veno, that combo is scary.
Yeah, it really is. Like, it's so hard to push against that lineup.
So the hero that comes to mind for me when I see a Veno picked up this early is Rubik. Get that null filled in there for a little bit of magic resistance for the team. No? Not convinced, Nahaz?
I'm not totally sold on the Rubik here, just because Rubik it has such a hard time living against that kind of sustained damage. I mean, the acid spray, the combination of the acid spray and the Veno dots can just keep Rubik out of the fight.
I think they need more lockdown, though. You don't want Alchemist to be able to cast his Chemical Rage while you're, trying to rush him down with Tombstone. Same with Veno. You don't want him to get his ulti off. I think those can be like really devastating. You want to kill heroes from like 70 to 0.
Another hero that comes to mind that can do that is the Doombringer. We haven't seen him yet this tournament, but if he can get the initiation, he's one that can actually stop the Veno from ulting.
I don't know. I still think you want Chrissy on a more initiating hero. I mean, Doom can fulfill that role. He can be the tanky offline initiator, but I still like Clockwork for Chrissy. Oh, there's the ban, though. Nope.
Okay. So how would you deal with the Veno, Nahaz? What's your answer to a first pick Veno?
I mean, I think you have a hero. You pick a hero that can dominate a Venomancer in lane and that is not super squishy. I actually think Windrunner isn't a bad choice here. Like her strength gain is higher than a lot of people realize. She gets that early point booster, does a lot of physical damage.
Okay.
Anti-mage.
Are you convinced that the Undying is a support role, not off lane?
I think Undying is one of those heroes that the gap between a 3 and a 4 position Undying to me is a little bit less than for other heroes like a Tusk, because Undying isn't going to farm that much anyway after the first 10 minutes.
Well, there's the PL ban coming out from Team Secret.
I haven't really seen too many like counters to Veno. That hero's
I think it's sort of too early in the metagame for teams to have developed counters to the hero. I mean, the counters to the hero on paper are obvious, right? He's super squishy, right?
Yeah, but if he gets his ulti off, he kills everyone else, and he's done his job. His job is to do a lot of damage.
Yeah, but what is well, I mean, after the Yule's range nerfs, it isn't as relevant. But what does Veno do against Alina with Yule Scepter early on?
Drop wards, push towers.
Yeah.
It's really hard to gank her.
Yeah, he can always stay out of range with the wards. That's the whole problem of Venomancer.
Yeah, and the build we've been seeing more commonly now is the 0-4-4-0 build, where you just go all poison, all wards, and sit in the back line.
I really like this draft from Secret so far. I think lots of pressure on Fnatic to pick some cores that can survive.
Okay, the first Earthshaker of the tournament.
Okay, now here's the follow-up question to what you brought up, Milk. Of the two, which of the two heroes, Earthshaker or Undying, would you rather see at the 3?
Undying, I think. For me.
No, I prefer the Earthshaker just because he's going to get the level and farm faster, but it also comes down to lane. Is Earthshaker going to do anything against Witchdoctor and Venomancer right now? No. So in that case, I don't think Undying is either, though.
Yeah, that's the problem. Is Undying going to do any better?
I think they can do Undying Dazzle, though. I think they can dual lane. That dual lane is a lot better than Undying Earthshaker.
It's definitely going to cause Alchemist to farm a little less.
Yeah. Oh, wait a minute, though. So you think Alchemist is going to be safe lane? I've seen Alchemist run mid a few times.
I mean, Venomancer can actually be in any role.
Exactly. Yeah. Right, if that hero is going to be first phase worthy, that's going to be the reason. Is the flexibility. Like, I'm not sold on the hero in this meta yet, but I could see it happening.
I mean, the only position he can't play is really the 1. But you could put him mid, you could put him off.
He's mid run as a run.
He's so bad as a support, though. Like, his skills, his damage is so horrible early on. Like, if he's a support in a lane that gets a couple early kills, he gets those early levels, he can be good. But he just, there's no value point with Venomancer. You have to skill really almost everything.
Big Daddy, I think, played him just like last week. We saw, I think Mason played him a few times as well.
Mason Venomancer.
Sing Sing played it in a very important game 2 weeks ago.
Sing Sing's played it a number of times.
Yeah.
We've seen a lot of one Veno. Enough at least.
Enough that you're convinced, huh?
But now we have 2 Axe heroes, so clearly they're at least thinking about.
Right now we're well on our way to see 14 different heroes picked in 3 games for both lineups.
I mean, this is why it's so much fun, having a lane like this so early after a new patch. I mean, hard for me because throw the stats out the window, but
Bane being the only repetitive hero from Secret in the first 2 games, and now Dazzle from game 1 for Fnatic.
Yeah, you're right. Brood Mother for Secret. Oh my. Okay, well, Fnatic do have the Earthshaker to sort of deal with the Brood, though not a great counter. It's a very minor.
No, Dazzle, if anything, is better than...
It's the Dazzle,
right.
Okay.
It's not a great counter, and the other... It's interesting now because, like, an Axe is still in the pool, but Axe doesn't fit in your lineup at all.
I don't think.
No, not at all. No.
Sinking, maybe?
It's going to be a hellish game for Radiant, for Fnatic to play because of all the split push and annoyance. And if they do put the Alchemist on the mid lane and have the Venomancer play a core role, this is going to be a Broodmother and a Venomancer pressuring you from both sides constantly, very early on.
Yep.
Right. Now that was one of the things about...
And the only catch they have on Fnatic is the Earthshaker. Like, all the setup for ganks and everything, Dazzle and Undying are pretty much worthless for that.
You can safe lane Storm, actually, versus Brood.
Whoa.
Oh, my. I'm not sure what to make of this.
Come on, Nahaz.
Not without the Wisp?
You have a gross face.
Do you think that hero works in the last game without the Wisp?
No, but in this game, I think it can work fine. It has good sustain. I don't think it can solo versus a Brood Mother.
Yeah. No, that's true. If anything, the fights... Secret doesn't have a lot of burst here, right? So the fights are going to drag out a little bit, and that's where Necrophos can really excel.
That's true. If they get a pipe relatively early on, they could sustain through the Venomancer ultimate.
I mean, they have 3 healers right now.
Yeah. I still feel like this Necrophos is extremely vulnerable early on in lane.
They still have no real way to bypass the Venom wards, though, to actually kill people. I think it's going to be a pretty stale game in terms of that. I see a lot more kill potential on Team Secret with Brood controlling the lanes and Veno and Brood, as you mentioned, controlling the tower push.
So now that we have a little bit more information, do you think Veno is... You still think Veno's a core?
I don't see why not.
Yeah.
I think...
I would personally do it, but again,
Well, it's milk.
doesn't seem too bad for a support either.
We all know support Venomancers tend to die a little.
It feels, well, now it definitely feels like a 4.
Yeah,
but
he is a 4.
Okay. So the Wind Ranger comes back, the hero that Weehaw played in game 1.
Why couldn't it be support Alk?
Especially not with the buff to him. I think he's much better on the carry position.
Do you think he fits the support role on this patch?
He used to be that super hard roamer, remember, with Crystal Maiden Alk? That was like his patch. And
that was before the nerf to the...
yeah, but to think about it, if you're a roaming, you can actually get the bounty runes without hurting your efficiency. So I think that's actually a pretty high upside of a roamer, and it's not the worst thing in the world.
Again, it's just there are so many combos with 6.85 that I feel like are plausible on paper, but I don't know if these squads are going to have time to have optimized them yet. And I just don't want to go with something in an elimination game that I haven't really optimized in scrims.
And Dazzle, Undying, Earthshaker is not heroes you want to roam on.
Exactly.
Anyways, like, Secret will be happy to just get out with farm on all their lanes rather than actually get kills.
And I think they can win all 3 lanes. I really do. That's going to be, to me, the problem for Fnatic. And again, this was true with their last roster as well, that when they struggle, it's because those lanes go badly.
Yep. All right, final pick for Fnatic. They need a core here. What's it going to be? There's not an obvious choice for this.
You can, I mean, you can still anti-mage, can't you? Please, Black carry me, baby.
You can, but it doesn't make sense.
What carry does make sense, though? I mean, is it like a life stealer kind of game? Have a built-in BKB?
No.
I mean, what are the options here? Okay, they go Slark.
Tough game for Slark.
I mean, I kind of like Slark in the sense that if he gets a Shadow Blade, he can actually get some picks, and that's the only way I can really see them bypassing the wards.
Yeah, but if he falls behind in this game, he is just so toast.
I don't know where he's going to lane well.
Yeah, I mean, you can make the same case for the Necro. We talked about how that hero really shines when you hit those timings, when you get the early momentum. I have a lot of trouble seeing Necro getting huge momentum early on through the laning phase. Eek. All right. What do you think, Melk? Who's taking it? Prediction time.
I'm going to go with Secret. I think the lineup is better. A lot better.
I got to go Secret. I just think that Fnatic is so vulnerable early on if the lanes go poorly.
I agree. Secret.
No faith in the Necrophos, huh?
I mean, I like him, but versus that draft.
No.
Yeah.
All right. I'm inclined to agree as well. I think the Secret draft is just superior. But with that, we'll see what our casters think. Blitz and Cap, take it away.
So, Team Secret predictions all down the line. Blitz, what do you got?
Just to play devil's advocate, I'll say that Fnatic has a chance. I think that they can snowball off the back of Undying Necro.
You lead it with just to play devil's advocate and follow up with have a chance. That's not a whole lot of confidence there, Blitz.
I don't want to say they're going to win, but I don't like to deal in absolutes.
Okay, so what about the mid Necrophos? Do you think it's actually viable? I mean, it's a tough lane matchup as well against Wind Ranger.
It's pretty difficult because Necro doesn't have armor, but if you go for the Heartstopper and you trade with, you get enough last hits with Sadist, I think it's okay. The major issue is just going to be that the Necro has to do well, just because Fnatic, it seems like every single game they do rely on what Nahaz brought up is they want to snowball off the lanes, they want to hit these item timings where they can just kind of like cruise, and that's what you want to shoot for if you have this type of lineup. Like, you want to just continue to push forward, be the aggressor, and you can't really play super passively in this game.
30 seconds to battle.
All right, so Fnatic are actually going to be starting things off, going for the top rune. Team Secret, very critical that they pick up the first bounty rune, as that's going to be a huge boon for Eternal Envy with the buffed up Grievel's Greed, now giving 5 times the amount of gold.
It's pretty... It's just funny.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to start out with a Stout Shield, a TP Scroll given over by Puppy, Healing Salve and Tango. When he picks this up, he can actually get a straight bottle as well as all of that.
Yeah, it'd actually be really funny if he just like buys a bottle for his mid hero, but I mean, it's great that Alk, you know, he starts off with 700 gold and okay, he has a bottle.
Hey.
Oh, sick!
Yeah, he's actually giving it to the middle lane. Nice.
Oh, this is going to help him so much.
So to make up for the fact that Weehaw doesn't have that 100 experience tie with Mushi, who's obviously got the early advantage now.
I only see this
early bottle.
I only see this in like my pub games when I ask my friends when they want to play Alk, because like at the end of the day is like, yeah, you got a lot of gold and you got some XP, but you're still playing Alk.
Undying, challenging the two supports very early on. They are going to be running a aggro dual lane here. Undying chasing away the supports and actually putting a lot of pressure on Pylai as well as Puppey, while we have the Earthshaker now being able to get some free CS against Eternal Envy.
Oh, that was so great. I think this top lane, though, is going to be kind of hard just because if you're noticing, the Undying works really well.
If they get the right kind of block off, there it is! Eternal Envy stuck, and they get a 2 right clicks in order to pick up that early kill. Undying is looks to be in a bit of trouble. Will still be able to get off another K, but tick by tick, he is actually going to die. Still, though, the trade-off is well worth it for Fnatic.
Oh, definitely. This is like the best possible trade that you could hope for if you're Fnatic. You managed to get a kill on the Alchemist, and the problem with the Alch is just you have 1 armor, you're still really not very tanky, you used all the gold that you had to buy your mid laner a bottle, and I think it was the right decision just because it helps out Mushi so much in that mid, or not Mushi, but Weehaw in that mid lane a lot.
Right.
But at the end of the day, you're still playing Alchemist, and his laning capabilities aren't very strong. He's such a defensive hero for so long just because you have to farm out before you can really do too much.
Now, what about this bottom lane? Misery's playing the off-lane Brood here, while Black and our Dazzle are going to be paired up as the Slark, and the opportunity here to deal with the Broodlings. It doesn't seem like, even with the maxed out Dark Pack build, I don't have a whole lot of confidence in them being able to beat out Broodmother.
He just needs to get a good start and he'll be okay, but the Brood is doing a lot better than the Slark so far, and so he has to be a little bit careful here. I guess Secret's lineup, I don't know if the analysts talked about it, but just having so many heroes that you can potentially get Axe for in the late game.
Yeah.
Like the Venomancer and the Witch Doctor are 2 of the better heroes to be able to get it on as well.
Yeah, the only one you can't get it over to is the Broodmother.
Yeah, and that'll be kind of the decision-making process of who gets it first. I'd imagine Pylai Dai is the priority here.
Yeah.
When you're thinking about who you get an Aghanims for first, but
right.
The problem too with Alk is, at top, he's got the Tombstone too.
Yeah.
This is surely going to lead to a kill.
Clean whiff there. They will be able to take out the Tombstone. The cask, if it bounces around lucky, they will be able to slow down the Earthshaker enough, but Eternal Envy actually pops a healing salve. That's going to be canceled now by the next round of Decay. They eat the Mango, and they're really planning on just running down Eternal Envy until they have that Fissure, it seems. It's going to be a long run, but they're making the commitment. Another Decay goes out, 5 more seconds, and they will have a Fissure, but now they actually have to back themselves up and maybe go for Pylai Dai if they get the right kind of Fissure block. It doesn't look like it. The power shot comes out, actually nails both of them, and they will return to lane. Still, that they forced Eternal Envy out of lane. The carry being down for a good 30 seconds out of that lane is still a great pickup for Fnatic.
Yeah, and his net worth is just going to tank right now. He's only got 840, hasn't really been able to do too much, and even with that early bottle that we saw given to Weehaw, Mushi is still doing so well in the lane right now. He's already up to 17 CS, pretty much bullying Weehaw out of the lane right now. And this is going to just mean so much for Fnatic right now because they rely so much on this mid lane being able to go well.
Yeah. Breaking apart the Ring of Bacillus, and Earthshaker will now have a Soul Ring. Level 2 Fissure. Completely misses that one, though, to start things off. Mushi. It's like Weehaw is going to be able to take the top rune. Will be an illusion. Not a bad pickup, but Mushi's not doing bad. In fact, he's 18-8 right now compared to the 14-5 on the Wind Ranger. Is this expected blitz, or do you think this is just the advantage of the early bounty rune, or what's the situation here?
I think it's the advantage of the early bounty rune and just Necros is a lot easier to harass with. Like with right clicks, his animation's pretty good. Death Pulse allows you to trade pretty effectively, and he went for the boots first, if you noticed, and so it's hard for him not to get that Death Pulse off onto Weehaw. And I like the decision for Mushi to be able to go for those boots first. He altogether just completely skipped bottle, which is just going to lead to a faster mech, but at the same time, it does mean that he has to be really precise with those last hits.
Yeah, to offset that, he does go for the extra level on Sadist. Again, no early Heartstopper aura once again from our Necrophos.
This bottom lane, though, is causing me some concern right now because the Witch Doctor, or not the Witch Doctor, the Dazzle doesn't really do too much. Like, in an ideal world, it's like, okay, Shadow Wave might be able to hit a bunch of Broodlings, but it never works like that, friends.
Right, and so it just means he's going to oftentimes be food for Misery to feast upon. You can see the right clicks come out. Oh, miss pounce there. Misery just barely able to slide away. They had still a Sentry ready to go. If they did hit the pounce, they might have been able to make some sort of commitment, but you could see the amount of pressure just with one round of right clicks from these Spiderlings. Dazzle's HP drops pretty dramatically.
You just need Black to be able to hit level 6, and then from there, he's a little bit more self-sufficient, and then he can pretty much spam out the Dark Pact.
Oh, Mushi, he makes a pretty heavy commitment here against Weehaw. He does have the Undying behind him, though, and maybe that's why he presses so far forward, but power shot misses. And he'll now give over the lane, it looks like, to the Undying, picking up some free CS while we have a full-out heal from our Necrophos. Big downside of not having that bottle, but we will have a very early mech, it looks like.
Things are getting a little bit more stable for Secret too, because this safe lane has kind of been zoned out, and especially with the Undying showing himself.
Oh, if they get enough creeps off the rip, they might be able to take out Weehaw, but it looks like, again, the Venomancer comes right in. In fact, they're going to go on the Earthshaker. It looks like Weehaw's still very low, looking for that opportunity on the power shot. They still have a Fissure up in another second, and Earthshaker just dropping down to about 100 HP, but with Mushi providing some resistance, Weehaw actually pops a Windrunner in order to catch up. No Shackle Shot landing, and they'll just get some good damage out, but Mushi, as long as he gets his right clicks and a couple of Necro Pulses, or Death Pulses, he should be able to come back.
Yeah, in this lane, it was really good that Weehaw was able to get that regen rune too. This is going to actually let him come back in. Mushi's actually shackled up. It's only one level though, so this shouldn't be a kill.
Yeah, unless he can hit the power shot here, but even if it hits, it'd have to go through creeps, so Mushi will survive another round.
Yeah, and Mushi's got enough mana to be able to Death Pulse a few times, so he should be okay in this lane, provided he doesn't get shackled or anything like that. And Weehaw still has that Focus Fire going off on him, and
power shot, it's gonna miss. Oh, Weehaw, he thought he had it. Now they're turning around, Mushi's actually, he's gonna be able to delete him. Nice pickup there, Mushi gets him with just that last Death Pulse and a little bit of damage from the creeps. They pick up a kill, 2-1. That's a big one, too. The turnaround there with the Earthshaker making the right rotation. As you said, that top lane wasn't working out nearly as well for Fnatic anymore as the time kind of went on. So nice time for them to be able to rotate that early ganker.
Yeah, and this is just going to allow them to snowball in this mid lane even more because Mushi, he's almost got the mech completed for himself. And he can actually just ditch, go to the jungle camps a little bit. It's a curious thing because Fnatic actually don't stack the jungle at all. And I think that
that's because of Misery, right?
Yeah, you have to devote somebody down to him, and you want your Undying to be able to roam around the map a little bit. But this hero isn't quite what it used to be in the laning phase. Like 3 attacks to destroy it is really low, especially when you've got 2 range heroes up here.
Yeah, so they desperately need some levels on it. Because later on in the game, it actually makes it a bit better when you up to 7 attacks, and it doesn't matter, those carries, their damage that they have. They're going to go for Pylite Die here, but is it really worth throwing out the Tombstone? Doesn't look like it. I mean, 2 melee heroes up against a Witch Doctor, that's not a winning recipe with that paralyzing cast ready to bounce around. Looks like the Wind Ranger is going to make potential rotation up to top lane, but it seems the Undying and Earthshaker, they're keeping an eye on the map. We're ready to back up at any point.
Yeah, and Eternal Envy just farmed up a ton of these stacks right now. He's gone for a pretty greedy build and going for the 3 levels of the Grievel's Greed, and it's paying off right now because he hasn't been punished. And at the top,
Tombstone. Puppey actually pops the ultimate though, and this is actually pretty dangerous. They're going to go for the Tombstone to start things off. Pylite Die. Eternal Envy's going to join him and actually stops the TP out from the Earthshaker, so he's definitely dead. Meanwhile, Undying desperately trying to run down Puppey, but he's not going to be able to get that kill either. It forces a couple rotations from Team Secret, but they still walk away big. Meanwhile, they actually get the extra kill on the Dazzle as well.
And that's so huge right now because we were talking about how Eternal Envy, when the game started, he obviously died early on and he was pretty far behind, but if you look at the net worths after that stack that he farmed with those 3 levels of Grievel's Greed, he's well ahead of everybody else in the game, and that Broodmother's just been untouched in this offlane right now. Being able to solo kill the support, that's what we were talking about, where Broodmother, if you're playing as a Dazzle against a Brood, you can't really do anything. You've got no offensive potential. Misery doesn't feel threatened at all, even if he gets pounced, because what does the Dazzle actually add to the lane right now?
Still, at least they have Black now with level 7, the maxed out Dark Pact. He can sit alone in this lane and actually stop a lot of the Broodmother's early pushes. The problem's still going to be that the jungle's completely taken over by Misery, as you said.
And it's more just that Black doesn't want to have to be down here at all times, because you're going to eventually get an item like a Shadow Blade, try to get aggressive on the map, open up the rest of the map, but as it stands right now, it's really difficult to do that because he has to kind of dedicate himself down here, and it's not like he's the Alchemist where he can continue to get ahead by farming up stacks or anything like that, because none of those are available right now.
Right, and if you had some sort of backup hero, who would it even be to rotate down to that bottom lane? Like Earthshaker or Necrophos, I guess?
I think eventually you just stick the Necro down there, but again, that kind of slows down your strategy because you want to be able to 5-man off the heels of that mech that you're about to pick up on Mushi.
Yeah.
But
maybe they just go for an early 5-man into the Broodmother's lane and try and push down those couple of towers.
Yeah, potentially. That's probably the target that you go for. Alchemist, though, he's got the medallion. I've seen Weehaw do this a few times where he goes for the really early Solar Crest.
Yeah.
And this just makes the Chemical Rage even stronger when you've got the evasion on top of the huge amount of armor that you get.
Right. And a little bit later on, obviously, we're seeing only one level of Unstable Concoction, but you can use it offensively, minus 10 armor, plus the physical damage nuke of Unstable Concoction, plus Acid Spray, and it actually does a huge amount of burst damage.
Yeah, he is going to go for the Solar Crest, and this is just a lot of negative armor, and on top of that, it makes it so that he can go for these side items, and he can also play the utility role. Like, neither of his supports have to go for the medallion themselves. Like the early Roshan, when you've got an Aghanim Scepter from the Wind Ranger, is a possibility too. Like, this item kind of just shores up a lot of Alc's weaknesses.
Right. And Dai's got to be careful. He's not that strong against Broodmother. Soul Rift does all right. Now they're going to have all these zombies as well as the Dark Bag. Jesus, it's a zombie apocalypse. They're going to actually pop the ultimate here from Puppey, but Black's still going to be able to lock him down. He has the ultimate as well to be able to heal through most of this, but fortunately he threw out the Venomous Gale after the Dark Pact, and now Black is going to be run down by Misery. Shadowgrave comes in just the last second. They will be able to TP him out, but our Dazzle is going to be left for dead. Turned into even more babies for Misery's army.
That was so weird looking. Like, there's just 200 zombies all of a sudden. But it doesn't really matter because they still managed to mop up. And
sounds like a bad sci-fi movie.
It is.
Mushi actually coming in with the Invis rune. He's going to try and get a quick pick off on the Puppey. That'll be nice and easy. And Mushi should be able to run out just because he's got more death pulses. Misery can't really stick around, especially with all his Spiderlings. Don't want to feed those away.
Yeah, he's also got the mech completed, and he's got that readily available. Feels perfectly fine in this lane. The Brood doesn't want to commit to right-clicking with his Broodlings. He'll just be feeding away gold. But this is the hero that you want down here, rather than having Black dedicate himself. Because it's not even like Black can really do too much to threaten.
Yeah. So you can see the beginning of the Shadow Blade for Black. Why the Shadow Blade over the, well, top lane? Do they have a stun? Enchant, oh, just barely in range. Beautiful hit there.
Going for the Shadow Blade, I think, is really good against heroes like the Witch Doctor and the Venomancer. Being able to see where wards are. A lot of people just kind of attribute it as a pub item, but I actually think it's just a really good gap closer. And it's one of those items that just perpetually keep secret supports really poor. At the same time, though, you always have an Alf who, it's like 50 minutes in the game when he's 6-slotted, and your supports have had to buy sentries all game, then he can start buying you Aghanim Scepters. And I think that kind of offsets the advantage.
Yeah. All right, so they're trying to actually slow down this Necrophos push. He's just staying with the creep wave and just pushing it out, and the Misery can't really stop that. And he can't actually go on the Dazzle, at least not as easily anymore, because Dazzle's always ready to go with the Shadowgrave TP out. So Misery is just forced to spend all of his time farming, it seems, but the Necrophos is still going to get plenty big.
Yeah, I mean, he's doing so well in this game right now. He's behind
Slowed down. They're making a heavy commitment. 4 heroes down to this bottom lane. Mushi, now the Death Ward comes out even. Shellgrave goes at the exact same time. And Mushi, he had a TP, but he chooses not to pop it just because the stun is still there. They try and get some damage out of Energy, but he still has the lifesteal. Now the ultimate comes out from Puppey, slowing down the Undying. He's going to go down as well. Double kill there for Misery. And the rotation pays off big for Team Secret, shutting down the early farming Necrophos.
Yeah, they wanted to go for the Dazzle as well, but even with that Grave, they weren't able to keep him alive. And this laning phase, or if you even want to call it that point, Misery's just done so well. He's got a fully completed Vlad's on top of the Hand of Midas. This Brood is so farmed right now. Second in net worth, and the fact that he's even somewhat keeping up with Eternal Envy, who's got 4 levels of Grievel's Greed, just kind of goes to show you how far ahead he got in this offlane.
Yeah, it really feels like Team Secret are very much comfortable with pushing this to late game. Normally I wouldn't feel like, I'd be like, oh, okay, you have Dazzle or Shaker, those are pretty good supports behind you. Necrophos and Slark are really scary late game, but a lot of it does come down to that Aghanims buff that is going to be able to come in from the Alchemist, right? Like, once he starts getting fully 6-slotted, he can start building those additional items. In fact, you could see Eternal Envy's already going for first. Yeah, he's going for the very early Aghanim Scepter to, I presume, pass over to Puppey. Or is that actually Pylite Eye? Which support do you think is actually more effective?
I think if the Witch Doctor was level 2, then you maybe give it to him. But, I mean, if you give it to Puppey at this phase of the game, and he's able to survive and get the Poison Nova off,
yeah, that's
you pretty
so
much
devastating.
can't win a fight at that point. And this is what we're talking about. Going for this really early Solar Crest just allows you, in conjunction with the Wind Ranger, to be able to go for that early Roshan and just advantage after advantage. And
Tombstone gets laid out, but they know Roshan was just taken down, so they can't dive in too deep. In fact, if anything, dying almost gets caught there. Quick TP out will keep him out of range of the Shackle Shot.
yeah, I'm actually really curious to see that who he decides to give it to first. Obviously, the Venom ulti doesn't kill, but overall, it's easier to hit on multiple targets.
I feel like the Venomancer ulti is more effective versus heroes like Slark and Necrophos. Like, yes, the Necrophos' sustain will kind of make up for that damage over time, but particularly Slark, who can't remove that with Dark Pact.
Yeah, I guess. It's just fun to theorycraft more than anything.
Yeah.
When you've got two heroes that are supports that benefit from it so heavily. But Eternal Envy's already so tanky.
Yeah, I mean, he really doesn't need much in order to be a beast at this point. I'm still concerned, though, because you do have that Necrophos. How early do you start going for the Aghanim Scepter? Because, again, we're going to see this Vitality booster. I'm presuming the Rod of Atos is in play once again. The Aghanim Scepter has got to be really big here, especially against a hero like Alchemist.
Maybe as a third or fourth item.
Yeah.
Once it gets to like the 35-40 minute mark and on, then it starts to get really effective when you start to go for those high ground pushes. But before that point, it's not as effective just because most of the time people aren't going to be able to do anything with it.
Yeah, most of the time we don't have buybacks in the first 30 minutes of the game.
Yeah, exactly. So it doesn't really change too much early on. And so it's better to just kind of build up a little bit more with all these side items rather than commit to it hard early on. Because the damage that you get from it doesn't scale too much. Like, it's not an absolute necessary item for him whatsoever. Yeah. It's completely for the buyback timer. And I really like this. Fnatic are going to go for a smoke.
Puppey, with his lane pushing in and no black in sight, he realized that guy has got to be searching for me with his Shadow Blade, so he just TPs out ahead of black. Meanwhile, the three-man smoke rotation going to catch Weehaw. That's the reveal of the Blink Dagger. They're going to be able to chain stun him down and bye-bye Aegis. Can they get him a second round? This time around, he won't have Wind Run. They pop the Death Ward, but Mushi's like, whatever, I don't care. Throws down the ultimate. It's not enough to get him inside of the Reaper Scythe, but they get him immediately afterwards. And now Pylai Die looks like he may be caught as well. The cast! It's bouncing around beautifully, but they'll throw out the Fissure, and it looks like they'll catch up eventually. No, the Glimmer Cape actually keeps them alive. Venomancer ultimate only catches the Undying, as well as the Necrophos, and with all their sustain, they're actually keeping themselves alive. They turn down for the Tier 1 tower, as Black makes his move to try and initiate on one of these supports. Just pops Pylai Die almost immediately. Enough, a couple of right clicks finally finish them off. And he's given enough space for his team to take the tower, gets an additional support kill, and backs away. All the meanwhile, though, of course, Misery can't really rotate as a Brood Mother. Instead, he just takes that Tier 2 tower in the bottom lane.
And that's what he has to do right now. He has to focus on making it so that these trades aren't 100% worth it for Fnatic, because then you start to question things. When you decide to go for a play like that again, Misery can start threatening your high ground, and that's when things get quite scary. The Venomancer is given the Ags, like you suspected, and it just makes more sense. He really needs the mana too. Like, the stats he benefits from so much.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, like, he's already got a Glimmer Cape, so now you've got a hero that pretty much has core farm potential. Yeah. That's an 18-minute Ags Glimmer Cape if you want to look at it that way.
Yeah, I really like this idea. I mean, especially since I was kind of looking at it, I'm like, oh, I don't see the Venomancer being able to pick up like a Blink Dagger, you know, just yet in time with that Aghanim Scepter, so you don't really have the initiation. But between the stats that's given to him and the Glimmer Cape, like, the defense there is huge, and there may even be a chance for him to make a Invis initiation off that short Glimmer Tape timing. But we'll see. They're going to jump on a Puppey. Nice! Three-man Fissure coming out as they're going to try and lock him down. The ultimate goes out from the Necrophos. Fortunately, Glimmer Cape just shuts that one down pretty heavily. Dazzle, meanwhile, having to deal with Misery, gets off the Shallow Grave, TP out, no Shackle Shot, no stuns whatsoever, and Dazzle gets away yet again.
And that's the benefit of having that Glimmer Cape, because he knows that the only thing that can really destroy him here is the Necro ulti. Yeah. But every single time, like, part of the reason why the Necro wasn't picked as often was just because of how powerful Glimmer Cape was. And we saw the item get nerfed pretty hard, and Slark just gets a solo pick off, and that's what we needed to see. But on a hero like Veno, you usually can't afford to get it without getting something like Arcane Boots, just because he goes through mana so quickly. But with given that Aghanim Scepter, like, it's perfectly fine. He's got the pull to deal with it.
Now, I really like what Black did here. He was actually the one who picked up the gem. You normally see supports trying to get that one, but I think the supports just wouldn't have been able to pick it up in time. So Black is identifying, okay, the Glimmer Cape's going to cause me too many issues right away. I kind of need the, my right clicks to finish off that Venomancer because my physical damage is obviously going to be what threatens him a lot more. Shackle Shot, nope, doesn't quite latch, but it doesn't matter. The burst damage is still there, and now it's Spiders versus Zombies. Once again, they go for the Tombstone, but the Spiderlings can't stop that, and Secret are going to be forced away with a lot of little Spiderling kills going to Mushi.
Yeah, and Misery, but he's going to continue the chase, and this is such a slowed Undying. He doesn't really have too much farm, but he should be able to get out.
Ooh, the Shackle Shot just not in time, and Earthshaker actually creeping forward, wondering if he can get a Blink Echo Slam, but decides against it. Meanwhile, Black is making that aggressive maneuver around, already found one of those wards that was placed very defensively. Actually, no, never mind. That was a Radiant side ward, so
they're going to go for the top defense. Secret have to start being really careful right now. It's only 2 of them. They don't have a lot of heroes that can instantly rotate, and you've got the Blink Dagger Earthshaker. They're going to go for this play, maybe?
Yeah, they may just make a small hit there on Eternal Envy. I think Black decided that it really wasn't go time.
He can't kill E when he's got his ultimate up.
Yeah.
And then Necro doesn't have TP.
Yeah, I think in those situations, Black almost has to go onto Venomancer every single time because he has to kind of force the Venomancer to pop the ultimate without the rest of his team nearby. Because if it hits multiple heroes with that Aghanim's upgrade, there's no way Fnatic win that fight in my mind.
It is going to be very hard for them to kill him now, though. Like you were talking about that, but now that Puppy's got the Ghost Scepter, this just gives him 4 extra seconds to be able to make those decisions. And now the TP is available. Mushi's coming in.
Positioned very aggressively, but he's not going to be able to get anything out of that. Now he's completely isolated. They pop the Puppy ultimate. Echo Slam gets laid out, and a nice Shell Grave comes into play. Mushi, if he could actually get this one onto Eternal Envy, it'd be beautiful. Reaper's Scythe goes out. Bye-bye, Eternal Envy. He's down for 80 seconds, and Mushi will out-heal all of that one. Now Black's going to be able to catch Weehaw as well. Oh, Weehaw, he's got no way out of this one. He's going to be run down, and Black, as long as he doesn't miss his pounds, should be all good. Doesn't even need it. Just pops the ultimate. The extra movement speed allows him to right-click him down. And once again, Broodmother stuck in this awkward situation where he's got all the farm in the world. In fact, he's top of the net worth board at 11,000, but he can't really do anything with it besides just keep pressure on bottom lane.
Yeah, it's 22 minutes into the game. His farm's pretty incredible. And even if it feels like Fnatic are making somewhat of a resurgence, if we just look at the gold graph, it's still 10k in favor of Team Secret. And this is just on the back of having such a successful laning phase. And they just need a little bit more of that, though.
Yeah.
Like, they've got a lot of heroes on the side of Secret that don't necessarily scale the best. Like, you've got an Alchemist that is pretty much playing like that supportive role where he got that early Ags for Puppy. The Wind Ranger doesn't have like an amazing amount of farm, and the Brood is a hero that can't necessarily rotate to you early on in the game.
Yeah.
And so they have to take advantage of this right now. Fnatic, 10k gold behind in 20 minutes is pretty brutal, but they still have a lot of different ways back into the game. Like, the Necro was one of the best at that too.
Yeah. Eternal Envy game plan here. He's got to spend some time farming now, right? Because you gave away over 4k of your net worth, you're actually significantly behind. No matter how good Grievel's Greed is, you still gave away over 4k of your net worth. He's got to spend some time farming now, doesn't he?
Yeah, especially if he's going to be able to do anything past just being able to give Aghanim Scepters to his teammates.
Yeah.
You don't want the Alchemist, I feel, to just be able to do that. Like, you want him to be able to eventually scale later on in the game and then use the Aghanim Scepter as like a backup. But I think Secret were anticipating being able to win fights a lot earlier with that early Aghanims, but it hasn't really happened. And Mushi's going to get spotted out, but managed to get the blinks out, and Fnatic just want to disengage for the time being.
Yeah, throw out a ward, just try and slow down some heroes. Meanwhile, Black actually cleaned up some Spiderlings, some Miseries in their own jungle, but it seems like that bottom lane is pretty much hands-off. Fnatic don't really touch it unless it pushes into the tier 3 tower. Jump into the top lane. Weehaw's going to be caught once again. They've already thrown down everything they have, and Weehaw, if he actually gets away, will be able to get into the trees, and now Earthshaker's just stuck with that death ward on him. He's left with just no HP. Power Shot actually misses, but he'll finally get right-clicked down, and Weehaw managed to survive there. Now the Undying maybe going to be caught as Misery catching up with webs rapidly, but Black came in from the behind. Already got the Witch Doctor. They're trying to deal with the Tombstone. Nice Shackle Shot. Black didn't actually get off the Dark Pack. Can he get off the ultimate? No! He goes down and the gem is on the deck. Oh, 10 to 10. And Secret come out big with that team fight.
Yeah, that's just a 900 gold net worth.
Oh, now they're going to get even more. Dazzle's definitely dead.
And with that, that's actually massive. Like, that gem was really helping them get back into the game. It was dewarding, it was keeping everybody on their toes, it was limiting the effectiveness of the Glimmer Cape.
And it was putting pressure on the Broodmother in a certain way as well. Like the Broodmother had to kind of watch out for an invis Slark that was scouting him out, essentially.
Yeah, if she gets jumped on at bottom, it just gets hit like 3 or 4 times, and there's one hero down there. Like you've got Mushu who has a Blink Dagger, it's an instant kill.
Yeah.
But Fnatic being able to, you know, they weren't able to quite kill Weehaw, and it almost felt like they overcommitted for that. And that's just going to kind of turn things around so much right now. Like, that slows down the pace of the game so much for Team Secret, and they can just go for the next Roche here.
Yeah. This will give a lot of farming time for Eternal Envy now, as he's sitting 4th there in the net worth board, right next to the Wind Ranger. The only hero on the Fnatic side that's even close to 10k, actually has it right now, is Mushi. But the Slark is even a little bit behind. He's only sitting at 9k. The Earthshaker obviously is an offlaner. Is he going to be spending too much time farming unless he just comes out big in team fights? He won't be able to take it either. Roshan is going to go down to Team Secret. It's up now to Fnatic to decide if they still want to fight this one, despite Roshan going the way of Secret. They pick it up on Weehaw. Nice shackle shot there, but a block out of the Fissure is going to be able to stall them up rather significantly. Looks like they're just going to focus on the Tombstone and make it out, but geez, jump in from the Earthshaker, tries to finish off Highlight 9. Misery on the front line, pops the BKB, and just runs down the Undying. Nice Shallow Grave to be able to buy him some time, and he will be able to get some distance. Once again, these Fissures just slowing down. Weehaw actually maybe going to go down here, lose that Aegis, but Mushi, of course, doesn't want to commit that Reaper Scythe, and the Undying Tombstone is just causing too much issues for Team Secret. Wind Ranger does manage to get out alive, but still, as a whole, Team Secret weren't able to get the pickoffs they were looking for. That's just that high ground defense playing around the Radiant side jungle that Fnatic very expertly were able to kind of disengage and re-engage at their own will.
Yeah, Fnatic realized with the Aegis available, there's almost no way they can take a fair 5v5 fight. So they try to bait Secret up further and further into the hill.
Yeah.
But the Undying Tombstone obviously reigns supreme there. We've got a lot of different spells to work with. They don't have vision.
Oh, Weehaw gets a shackle shot. Black immediately goes on to Weehaw as best he can, but still, Mushi, can he get off the ultimate? He needs it desperately, but yeah, he's going to have to throw it out. That's just going to be the Aegis, though, and Mushi will end up going down. Broodmother actually moving on to some supports, might be able to get the Earthshaker, as Black is also in trouble, taking down the poison, might just bring him down. The Earn a little bit extra. Oh, it's Puppey who picks up the kill off of that poison.
At the same time, the Earthshaker does manage to land the Echo Slam, kills the Brood, but
that was a nice one. I mean, the Undying being the beneficiary of that mega kill streak, though, kind of makes you pause, though, because it doesn't feel like it's going to be that effective unless he's able to pick up an Aghanim Scepter in the next, like, 5 to 10 minutes off of that.
Yeah, I would actually really like to see the Ags on him. Like, him being able to get an Ags on 2 heroes that don't have a BKB, 2 cores anyways, in Eternal Envy and Weehaw, that would actually help so much.
Yeah.
Like, 10 strength, that's pretty absurd.
And now an all-out AC, Eternal Envy no longer cares about physical damage. As he's got both that Solar Crest as well as the AC, that's 29 armor, plus the 25% evasion. They're going to go uphill nice and early. The Fissure blocks a lot of these heroes out, but Eternal Envy's okay with tanking the tier 3, while Weehaw chips it down with his Focus Fire.
With that Aghanim Scepter available, they know, or not the Aghanim Scepter, the Chemical Rage on top of the Solar Crest. He's got the Assault Curse too. He's really strong utility hero right now. They can't really burst him down very easily. The only way that you can do that is with the Reaper Scythe, but Mushi just gets it back off cooldown, so they don't really want to commit to a fight quite yet. And if this pushes to like the 15-minute mark, you can still see Mushi still go for like that Aghanim's Reaper Scythe, and they could just all-in face rush.
Yeah.
And go for the 4v5 fights. But that's a long time coming. Like, Fnatic somehow have to continue to hold before that point.
Undying, they actually had a smoke gank behind the push from Mushi, but that was spoiled a bit by Misery.
They do have dust on their Earthshaker, but no sentries, and they desperately need the gem. We briefly touched on it, but losing the gem is so huge, because you can't pressure the Brood anymore. You lose a lot of the vision around the map as a result of giving one away.
Yeah, I feel like the Silver Edge, like, that was in part why he went for that Silver Edge, just because you know, being able to take away that incapacitating bite allows you to man fight against the Broodmother a bit better as the Slark. So you have the combination of the Invis, the gem, and that taking away the incapacitating bite actually allows Slark to maybe win that 1 versus 1.
Yeah, for sure. But at bottom, Mushi's too isolated. I think they just kill him.
Oh, they see Earthshaker, and they're actually going to start peppering at him. These Broodlings are going to be very quickly fed away, but it doesn't matter. The Fisher's down on cooldown. Now Weehaw makes his initiation right onto the Undying. Another great Shell Grave. It's Dazzle pulling all the stops out to be able to save this hero. Throws out the Tombstone, and now the initiation continues. Echo Slam on Misery in the right-hand side. Bye-bye, Misery. That's an ultimate from Mushi. And Stitch, he's actually staying alive through all
Nobody's
this. Nobody's
dying right now.
Nida, great Venomancer ultimate. What a shackle shot. Mushi goes down because of that one, and our Undying's going to fall almost immediately afterwards. He gets a little bit more heal, but with the double damage and everything else, they stop the Dazzle TP as well, maximizing the number of kills the Team Secret can pick up. 4 down, and it's only Misery who fell. Team Secret very happy with yet another team fight.
You were committed that far into the base, or at that bottom lane, and you're pretty close to the base, so this is just going to lead to a high ground push to at least force buybacks if Fnatic have any. This is just Secret poking and prodding, but that fight, for a second, it looked like it was okay for Fnatic, but then that 2-man shackle on the Necro and the Undying pretty much just shut that out.
Yeah, as soon as the Necro dies like that, and now they're going to go for the push uphill. They do have the Necrophos with a buyback, but I doubt they're going to go for it here. They may just have to give up a full lane of Rax.
Yeah, and Eternal Envy, he's about to pick up the other Aghanim Scepter for Pylai Dai, who's just going to go for a BKB, and I mean, once you have both supports that have an Aghanim Scepter, and these are really effective supports with Ags,
oh yeah,
the fights just become so difficult to take at this point, and
the team fight potential is going to be insane with Team Secret.
Yeah, the Venom ulti on top of the Witch Doctor ult just as a finisher is going to be so strong.
All right, let's take a look at this instant replay because we want to be able to see what exactly happened in this fight. The really good start with the Shell Grave actually bought the Undying so much time. The fact that he gets off the Tombstone is really big. And then they just lock down Misery. They take him out of the fight almost immediately. That's a 4 versus 5, but what goes wrong from here?
It's just the shackle shot, like entirely just the shackle. Like, look at this. They were able to isolate on top of the Necro. He wasn't able to maneuver at all. If he's able to get like 1 or 2 heals off, and his team can make it back to them, maybe they can mount a defense, but they lose 2 heroes as a result of that shackle.
Yeah, and the let's not forget the Wind Ranger had the double damage during that time. I mean, that just made it so easy for them to kill Mushi nice and quick.
Fnatic had to know, though, if you take a fight that's that close to your base, it's going to lead to a Rax as soon as you die.
Yeah.
And I kind of think that was a little bit too hard of a committal for them. Remember, they originally went for the smoking to try to open up some space into their jungle, but after it was unsuccessful, it was pretty much just Secret running down and having time to formulate a plan.
Double gems. Puppy has one in his inventory right now alongside the one that he's carrying with him.
All right, there's axe number 2. Just gave it. Highlight Eye's got it now.
All right, so once he finishes up the BKB, how do you even stop that? Are you forced to now commit Reaper's Scythe onto Witch Doctor to stop that Death Ward?
You really don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Like, just to be able to stop that, forcing the Reaper Scythe is probably just as good of an investment by Eternal Envy, just buying that Aghanim Scepter.
Yes.
They needed to kill either the Alchemist or the Wind Ranger. These are both really tanky heroes. Nobody is really quite close to an MKB or anything like that on the side of Fnatic. So I don't really see how they're going to be able to burst it down.
All right, well, Black, Mushi actually picked up the gem for Black to run around with. He's trying to go for his Scotty next up. Mushi, meanwhile, 2,500 gold here. You see a lot of damage coming out. I was going to say, Shiva's really the item he goes for at this point because you have so much physical damage from the Wind Ranger and the Alchemist, and then you combine like a lot of minus armor.
I think it's okay. Just because you need to be able to survive for a little bit longer.
Right.
Oh, man, what really concerns me right now for Fnatic is that you're not really scaling in items, and I think at some point you just need so many more, and your supports are kind of losing their effectiveness right now too. Once that Undying gets his Aghanim Scepter, like, he's going to hit a pretty strong power curve, but after that he's going to drop off pretty hard. The Dazzle hasn't really had enough time to farm either, just sitting at paltry 3,700 net worth, and all Secret has to do is wait for the next Roshan, get it on pretty much everybody. And sorry I zoned out for a second. Like, I was just looking at Puppy's items right now.
Yeah,
he's about to hit 16, and he's got a Soul Booster. And
I'm presuming Octarine Core is the pickup, right? Just because it works so well with the Venomancer?
Oh yeah, for sure. The cooldown for your ultimate becomes nothing. All your cooldowns actually reduced to so little at that point.
Yeah, you're 45 seconds, Poison Nova, just ward spamming everywhere. But then on top of that, you can actually be on the front line too, because you're getting so much HP back from the spell steal. If you get a really good Poison Nova, like, you just become impossible to kill.
Yeah, you're pseudo tanky at that point. This is when Puppy does so well. It's when he's just given space to farm, and he's the highest net worth in the game.
Even above Misery, who has had a couple bad fights after Fnatic have been trying to chase him down so much. They know Misery is here, but they just don't know exactly where, and he's going to be able to blink himself out. The choice of the Blink Dagger pays off big, dodging that 5-man Smoke King.
This is so absurd right now. Nobody dies. You've got to deal with like the scariest banana in the world. Alchemist just continues to scale higher and higher. He's going to go for a Crimson Guard, and that'll just allow them to get to the high ground even easier from that point on. BKB's completed on your Wind Ranger too, so she no longer has anything to worry about when she pops her Wind Ranger.
Ultimate goes out. Undying is going to be kind of caught here, but a good Fissure block is actually going to put Miz around the wrong side. They get a Shackle onto Slark, but he will survive long enough to get everything else off. It's going to be the Dazzle who dies instead. Of course, Slark is able to just TP away during that time with no Shackle shot. Everyone else gets out, so Dazzle down, not a bad loss for Fnatic, but it's still just the net worth chart going down, down, down. 25,000 gold lead now for Team Secret.
Yeah, and things get even more rough just because that was just kind of like a scouting expedition before the Roshan fight. Because they were thinking to themselves, okay, we want to try to take a fight outside of this area. In enclosed areas against an Earthshaker and an Undying and a Necro, things become a little bit hazy.
Yeah.
But if we're just able to pick off one hero, there's no way that Fnatic want to take a fight. And now that you've got the Aegis completed on Weehaw, I just mentioned it before, you can't kill him when he's got BKB and Windrun.
Yeah.
So now that he's got the Aegis, what do you actually do to burst him down? Because you can only commit the Reaper Scythe to either the Wind Ranger or the Alk, and you need it for both of them.
And this is also the perfect kind of setup for Puppy, because they're just going to be able to have a Wind Ranger and Alchemist on the front lines. Alchemist especially, who's so tanky with the Crimson Guard, Solar Crest, and AC, plus a cheese, that it's going to force Fnatic to commit into Team Secret, which allows the Venomancer to get off the easiest Poison Nova. So Fnatic really got to get creative with their defense here. And I'm not sure what kind of initiation is going to be necessary to allow them to not just win a fight. Well, maybe that's a Force Staff over the Fissure. That's a good start, but another great Shackle shot. Weeha's just pulling out big. They get a Shalgrave onto Mushi. That'll buy him some time to be able to get off an ultimate, and perhaps on a Pylai Die. Stops that Death Ward in its tracks, but the Tombstone goes down, and Team Secret are able to just keep pushing uphill, knowing that Fnatic have very little to continue to fight with. They do have the Earthshaker. Oh, but Weehaw sees them in the trees. Will be able to lock him down immediately with the Shackle shot, and Black Force back, buyback from the Earthshaker. Still looking for that big Echo Slam initiation. They gotta find it soon, but those wards are actually causing him such an issue, and the Broodlings as well catching up to him. Another Shackle shot, and Earthshaker's just never gonna be able to find the initiation. It might even be a dieback if he's not careful. BKB activated by Pylai Die, chasing down. Oh, the Earthshaker goes down. The cast bounces right back to him, and Team Secret have planted a flag inside of Fnatic's base and just chipping down those tier 4 towers now.
And they're just going to go for it right now. They know that if the Necro had buyback available, he would have done it a long time ago. He's not just going to stand and let 2 Rax fall, and without anything available, they're just going to go for the all-out assault. They know the Dazzle doesn't provide anything in these fights anymore, and with Black down, he's got one more life, and he'll probably make one more go of this, but there's so many wards down, so many Broodlings. I don't know if they can take this fight. And
yeah, Black can't even make the commitment onto the Alchemist. The cat's bouncing around, catches the Dazzle, and they only have 5 more seconds. Still, the Necrophos is back up, but they've eliminated the whole entire supporting cast of Fnatic. And with only the 2 cores up, I don't see how they stop this throne from going down. So there it is. Team Secret will move on to the semifinals here in New York.
So well played by all of them, but I mean, Weehaw, Shackle after game-winning Shackle.
Yeah. I mean, you might have just proved that you have to start banning away Weehaw here. So with the way that he played on his Wind Rangers, maybe you take away that as well as the Meepo in the second round or something, because it just seems that Weehaw just runs the game when he starts getting a small lead from the beginning.
Yeah, and it just felt like this was a good overall team victory. Like, Misery just created so much space in the offlane. At one point, he had the highest net worth. He had that Midas. Yeah. He disrupted that bottom lane completely. It just felt like good play overall by Secret, and I just like the draft top to bottom.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about the drafting style of Team Secret. A lot of people have theorized, okay, you know, let's work with this whole Alchemist Ags, and how are we going to be able to give it away? no team really found out the perfect right potential. We often saw like Alchemists just go full out carry until they start getting into late game. What did you think? What was kind of like the game plan there for the way that they played the Alchemists? It seemed like a combination of just like tank up, then Ags, tank up some more, then another Ags.
Yeah, I mean, you saw that reflected in the supports that they decided to take with the Venomancer and the Witch Doctor. It's insane. You actually turn those heroes into core heroes because their Aghanim Scepter's upgrades are so strong.
Yeah.
Like, especially the Witch Doctor. You saw that the Necro had to commit the Reaper Scythe just to stop going from, what was it, the Witch Doctor continuing his ultimate? Because it's the only thing that goes through that BKB, right?
Yeah.
It's either that or the Slark has a Basher
or Abyssal.
He doesn't, and he just doesn't have that amount of farm. And so Team Secret realized that. They're like, we're just going to pump up every hero on our team. Our Alk will still have some measure of farm because he'll have the Assault Curse and the Solar Crest. And then from there, can't win a fight.
Yeah. Just perfect from Secret. All around execution as well as strategy. So we're going to go now to Coddle Guy, who actually has a winner interview.
All right, so I'm here with Envy of Team Secret. Congratulations, Envy. You're going to be the first team that has advanced into the semifinal. How does it feel?
I don't know. It feels okay.
Feels okay?
We didn't play very good, so.
Yeah, I mean, you're one of the teams that came in here with a lot to prove. Do you think that performance got to show what Secret's all about, or did Fnatic prove to be a tougher competition than you anticipated?
I think all 3 games were based on draft, and I don't know. I don't think we played particularly well, so.
So what was the strategy that, really hard on yourself. Don't worry, you got the win. So what happened then between game 1 and coming into game 2? Because game 1 obviously looked pretty heavy-handed for Fnatic. Did you have to go back, change things up a bit? What was the difference from that game and then going forward with the next 2?
We just opened Spectre against a team that always goes 5-man with heals. So even though I had Radiance, we just kept healing each other. It was usually when you buy Radiance, you win the game, but that game, it wasn't like that, so yeah.
Now you got to give Weehaw his Meepo in game 2. Was that part of the plan? Is something you guys have been running in your scrims, or is that like kind of the ace up the sleeve that you had to pull out in that elimination match?
I think during the draft, we were talking about picking some other hero, and then Weehaw's like, how about Meepo, guys? And then Puppy's like, Meepo, really? And I was like, it was like 5 seconds left, and I was like, he wants Meepo, pick a Meepo, that's it.
Well, he performed. It worked out well. And finally, now that you're going into the semifinal rounds, you're going to be awaiting your next opponent. It's going to be between CDEC and now Team Archon. Is there an opponent you prefer to go up against?
I prefer playing against the TI second place.
Right. I like that. You're looking for competition. That's great. So congratulations again. You've made your way in that semifinal. You'll await your opponent, and that's going to be happening in the next series. Let's give it up one more time for Team Secret and Envy. Congratulations. And with that, we're going to throw it right back to our experts at the Alpha Draft Analyst Panel. Take it away, guys.
Thank you very much, Dakota. And of course, we've got a new face joining us here on the panel, the captain of Team Secret, Puppy. Thanks for joining us, man.
No problem, no problem.
So, talk to us about that series. It was a little bit bumpy at the start, not the ideal game 1. What went wrong?
I think we kind of picked ourselves into a corner, even though like we really believe in Spectre, we really believe in Bane. We just want to like see how it goes when we pick him, because we haven't done that actually yet in like our games or something like that. But the new patch comes out and like these heroes are good. Let's see what happens. And obviously they play semi kind of passively and pick up a lot of heals, so your like strength doesn't really give that much from the Spectres and Banes. We can't catch them because they picked heals. We can't use Spectre because, you know, they picked heals, so the Bane Spectre got countered. I mean, you know, sometimes it happens that we just get countered.
Yep. Cool. So, Misery, adjusting to the off lane. How has that been from a team dynamic?
I think he's himself wanting to be an offlane player, just like Zai was from after EG joined Team Secret. He also like really just wants to play an action hero in this sense. So offlaners in these days are quite actionist.
Cool. And feel free to jump in here anytime.
Speaking of action hero, you picked the Venomancer for yourself and got the Aghanim Scepter. Isn't it like an absolute luxury to play a support Venomancer?
It does feel good. You're like, I don't know what item I should get now. Like I get some little items like Ghost Scepters, Blink Daggers and stuff. And they're like, I guess Octarine Core or something. You feel really good. You're like this hero that's 900 HP and you feel like, I'm gonna die, am I? And then you have like 1.4. And you're like, that's pretty good.
And then once you hit 16, get the Octarine, you're practically invulnerable.
Yeah, I'm quite annoying, pretty much. I'm super annoying.
Yeah. How good is Veno right now? I mean, why was this hero ignored so much before and now is really rising to fame?
A lot of heroes that go mid lane probably are like bad now. Like Leshrac, Lina, perhaps they just stomped the Venomancer and just got out of control, and Eul Scepters and stuff. Also, I think like the meta changes realistically after a patch. So Venomancer is one of these heroes that give a lot of vision and control. So you just really feel good playing with that hero. It's always been a good hero, but not realistically that good at last patch.
Yeah.
Do you think the current version has opened up for a lot more picks? Like we saw you guys picking 13 different heroes in 3 games. Are you more comfortable just picking whatever right now, or is that just...
I think that's because it's a new patch regardless. We just have to test out things. And Venomancer is part of the test in this case. And he got really buffed, to be honest.
Yeah. What about Wisp and Necrolite?
Wisp Necrolite. Necrolite got buffed, and Wisp Necrolite has been Team Secret Thingio Majig. And so we kind of like constantly like doing that. We just feel a lot of strength in it.
Were you guys considering giving the Eggs to Windrunner instead of Vena?
Yeah, we were. But then at the end of the day, we kind of bought it. He can actually sell it later, and then we just give it to him again if it's necessary. But I think he wants it early game himself. So it worked out fine.
And of course, this is one of the more convincing team fights towards the tail end of the match when you guys really started to pull ahead and just take it out of control. Weehaw seems like a madman. I wish I had a counter for the amount of times in that game Cap said, "Oh, and another shackle from Weehaw," or "a beautiful play from..." I mean, it seemed like every single team fight he was landing key shackles on important heroes.
This game and game 1.
Yeah, that's true.
On point with all 3 performances, basically.
Yep, I'm sure you made some fans happy as well with a Meepo pick in only the 2nd game of the tournament.
Yeah, well, he really likes Meepo, so if it kind of works out in that game, it really, it works out because they have nothing to stop him. And if they want to stop him, they have to waste all of their spells.
Yep.
So if those games kind of happen, they will have a Meepo in them.
Absolutely. So up next, it'll either be CDEC or Archon. Envy said you guys would prefer to play CDEC. Do you second that?
Yeah, of course. I mean, this is the first tournament after like 3 months or something like that. This TI post-death or something like that is kind of like too long. So you want to actually play good Dota against some good teams. Lose, win, who cares? This is the first tournament, so you want to learn some stuff.
Okay, so what's the trick to preparing for a team like CDEC who hasn't played any games on record yet?
We have to see how they play, to be honest. Yep. I don't actually know if they play the same way, but they might.
So you're going to go into game 1, assuming it's CDEC, you're going to go into game 1, play whatever you want to, and then see what they do.
It's most important is what you really want to do, not what really they want to do. But if you have a bad situation with the meta and you don't know what to do with, you can't look at your team, enemy team. You have to look at yourself and then figure out for yourself what you really want to do. If it's bad, figure it out.
Yep.
But you can't look at the enemy and be like, well, maybe we can counter them. No, they have millions of strategies to do.
That being said, you did ban out the Tusk and the Shadow Fiend in game 3.
Yep. I mean, I see it working, so... I mean, in this case, it's, again, first tournament, new patch, and if people are stuck to their ideas, you could just remove them and see what they do now, and maybe are more comfortable playing instead.
Right.
All right, cool. A good mindset to have. Thank you for joining us on the panel. We appreciate your insight, and good luck in the further rounds. With that, folks, we're going to have another short break, and then coming up next will be the beginning of CDEC versus Archon.